His most recent work, Abraham Lincoln in Mexico, is now under consideration for a Netflix series. Dr. Hogan is the Chief University Consultant for the College Board's Advanced Placement Program in this region and the Latin American Consultant to the State's Department's Office of Overseas Schools. A former head of the English Department and the Social Studies Department at ASFG from 1990 to 2004, Dr. Hogan founded a literary magazine, Sin Fronteras, and began the Advanced Placement Program at ASFG. He is now an emeritus teacher at the school, giving 2 courses, AP Capstone Seminar and AP Research. This is his 18th annual keynote speech to the National Junior Honor Society. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Michael Hogan.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you, Ricardo, for your introductory remarks. This is the most loquacious group of officers we've had in a long time. Buenas noches, and congratulations to everyone on stage tonight, to parents, grandparents, and teachers who have encouraged you along the way. Each year we enumerate all the qualities of the NJHS, scholarship, character, leadership, citizenship, and service. That's what the 5 candles over there are for. But we leave out the most important word, and that's honor. What the heck does that mean anyway? Yeah. I think Ricardo would probably say it's something those adults made up, and, we can maybe let it go for a while. But I think we would all have trouble defining it, even adults. Isn't it a leftover from another century? Isn't it one of those words associated with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table? What does it have to do with students? How come there's a whole society devoted to it, and we're not even sure how we define it? Li Po, the classic Chinese poet, tells us that when a word's meaning is uncertain or has been forgotten, we must find a way to make it new. T.S. Eliot, his American counterpart, says we need to find an objective correlative. And this means a real concrete example in our daily experience. So I'm going to do both tonight. I'm going to share a couple of anecdotes of real people, some of whom you might know. I'm going to tell you about 2 students from ASFG who are leaders of this group of yours. One was president, this National Junior Honor Society, and who graduated from the school and went on to other things, but who exemplified the qualities of honor. Maybe when we look at their stories, we'll have a clearer idea. Last year, we presented a play at the American School called Abraham Lincoln in Mexico, the untold story. It was a resounding success, and the cast was invited to perform it a month later at the Lakeside Little Theater in Ajijic. Well, everyone was excited to go. This was really a big deal because we had never done anything outside the school with a play before. However, the student who was to play Carlota, the Empress of Mexico, had a previous commitment and could not make the trip. So what could be done? She had so many lines. She even had a dance in the play. And even if Miss Stacy could find a volunteer to take her role, who could step up and memorize all those lines? Who could do Carlota's special dance? Who could do double rehearsals for a week and then perform both her own role and that of Carlota on stage with hundreds of people, Canadians and Americans in the audience? It looked like the play would probably have to be canceled. Wait! I can do it, Danny Gonzalez told Miss Stacy. What? You already have a lead role, Danny. How can you do your role in Carlota as well? Trust me, Danny, Danny says. I can do it. I've heard all the lines in rehearsals. I know most of them. I taught her the dance, so I can do that too. So Danny came each day, and she rehearsed, and she memorized, and she practiced both roles, and she did the dance, and she worked with others after school for hours and hours on the week before the trip to Ajijic, practicing her lead role as well as that of Carlota. Well, needless to say, the play was a success. It was sold out 2 nights in a row, and all the ticket receipts, thousands of pesos, went to support our drama club this year, so you could put on this performance this fall. Then he gave a new meaning to the word honor. She added to it personal responsibility, sacrifice, taking a risk, putting up with discomfort for the good of the group. She changed the nature of the school around us and made us all more accountable. We have an honor code at this school, and many people think it's important. For some students, it certainly is. Without it, they probably wouldn't behave as well as they do. But with members of the National Junior Honor Society, such codes are superfluous because these students usually go beyond what's required scholastically and morally. There's a culture of honor and integrity in this group, and most of them need no rules to do what they do. The second little story I'd like to tell you is about Cassandra Torres. She graduated 2 years ago. A week before graduation, she was working as a volunteer with a dog rescue facility right around the time when there were senior parties and reunions. Now, it's one thing to be doing this in the 9th grade or 8th grade or even 10th or 11th grade. But when it's April or May in your senior year and everybody is partying and you're celebrating this life you lived at this place for 12 years, are you going to give up all that to go work in a dog shelter? So I said to her, don't you have enough service hours to graduate? You should be enjoying this time with your friends. And she said, yeah, I have several hundred hours of service, but they needed someone at the dog shelter to help out on the weekend, and no one else volunteered. Who was going to feed them and water them? I think my friends will understand. I honor Cassandra today because she put community and love of animals ahead of her own weekend, ahead of her own comfort, ahead of her own celebration at the end of her high school years. She leaves with me, and now tonight with you, a lasting memory of what it truly means to be honorable. These are the kinds of students who have been in leadership positions at this school and who are members of our honor society, both junior and senior. Young men and women who go beyond what is required or expected, who change the environment around them for the better, who lead others in positive ways, who honor their families and their teachers. And it can be, as our president said, a little grain of sand. A little grain of sand that doesn't even have to be out in the world. It can be right here in this school. I'm very glad to welcome you all as new inductees to this exclusive society. And more about that in a minute.